From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Hey folks, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Merry Christmas to you all. Christmas is just a few days away, and hopefully some of you are going to get the chance to spend the holiday at home resting. I know the last 10-12 days for us security practitioners have been ones we did not expect after the struggles of this year to still experience, but we are. Before we get started though, please make sure to subscribe to our podcast. If you're following us on YouTube, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. If you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, please subscribe and share our podcast with your friends and family. You can find all of our podcasts, every story I talk about today with all the relevant links and references at cyberhubpodcast.com. Now let's get right into December 22nd, 2020, our practitioner review for today. A new SUPERNOVA backdoor has been found in the Solarwinds attack. VMware is the latest to officially confirm the breach in the SolarWinds hacking campaign. CISA issues the ICS advisory for new vulnerabilities in the Treck TCP IP stack, and threat actors are increasingly using VBA Purging in attacks, something we need to keep in mind as practitioners. Now let's move right into the SUPERNOVA backdoor that's been found in SolarWinds. So SolarWinds still going on, folks. A lot of people still talking about it. There was a briefing on the Hill yesterday, and a lot of people were attributing that to Russia, and some people came out and said this is the Pearl Harbor of attacks on government institutions. It might be. We have yet to see proof outside of just politicians and intel community, people, not even the intel community, outside of just politicians saying we got briefing and we think it's Russia, or we're pretty sure it's Russia. As someone who wants facts, I want to see the facts that say it's Russia, because just some parts here don't add up to me. And if it is, it's a grave escalation on Russia's behalf in the cyber warfare campaign, and something that does need to be addressed. But right now, I think we need to leave all options open on attribution and not go down that path. So let's talk about this SUPERNOVA, which is a malware web shell planted in the code of the Orion network, an application monitoring platform, and enabled adversaries to run arbitrary code on machines running the Trojanized version of the software. The web shell is a Trojanized variant of a legitimate .NET library called app_web.log_image handler.ashx.b603189er6.dll, which is present in the Orion software from SolarWinds and modified in a way that would allow it to evade automated defense mechanisms. In a technical report, Matt Tennis, who's a senior staff security researcher at Palo Alto, says that the malware could potentially slip even manual analysis, since the code implemented in the legitimate DLL is inconspicuous and is of relatively high quality. The analysis shows that the threat actors added in the legitimate SolarWinds file for new parameters to receive signals from the command and control infrastructure. The malicious code only contained one method, dynamic run, which compiles on the fly the parameters into the .NET assembly in memory, thus leaving no artifact on the disk of a compromised device, which, by the way, is significant. As people who have SolarWinds are examining this stuff, this backdoor is quite significant. This is a completely different, by the way, SUPERNOVA based on this is a completely different tool than the one used by what they believe to be the perpetrators of the original attack. And we don't know which one is which. It could be that this was sitting in there but hasn't been discovered, because this is fairly sophisticated, as well as the initial attack. But again, the malware sample is available on VirusTotal. It's being detected by 55 out of 69 AV engines. It's not clear how long SUPERNOVA has been. Although some analysis by Azar's malware system shows a timestamp of March 24th of 2020, so that was right around the time the original malware was put in. So keep in mind, SUPERNOVA, SolarWinds, Orion, still going on. More stuff's going to come out like this, folks, as more researchers and more people get in and start to examine this and go through this with a fine-tooth comb, we're going to find more and more stuff there. So just be prepared. From an internal perspective, if you're rebuild from scratch, trust nothing. I hate to use the word zero trust, but I'd really say zero trust. From the other aspect of it, if you're patching and you're examining, look at all these TTPs and IOCs, start examining your stuff, start running it in different environments to see if anything turns up. VMware is also the latest company to confirm that it had a system breached in the recent SolarWinds attacks, but denied further exploitation attempts. The company said that the attackers did not make any efforts to further exploit their access after deploying the backdoor, now tracked as Sunburst or Solarigate. VMware has also been disputing media reports that a zero-day vulnerability in multiple VM products reported by the NSA was used as an additional attack vendors beside the SolarWinds Orion platform to compromise high-profile targets. I will say this. So we talked about this yesterday. If you missed yesterday's practitioner brief, go back and look at this. This is CVE 2024-006. A patch has been done in place for this, and that can also be found on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. I will say this, though. VMware is absolutely right to dispute media reports because there's no proof. So what the NSA said is this could have been a potential vulnerability that may have been used in some attacks on some organizations as another way to move laterally within the network, but it wasn't a vector. Meaning if they could have got in through Orion from SolarWinds, they could have moved laterally through the network, found the VMware unpatched, the CVE 2024-006, and used that to laterally expand the attack. So there's still, again, more information needs to be done here. But all these warnings, and then I want to say all these Monday morning quarterbacks are coming out and just saying, see, nothing is secure. Yeah, we have a ton of challenges in security, folks, but let's not drag a company through the mud until we have facts that it should be dragged through the mud if there was negligence there to cause that to happen. So, you know, with VMware, folks, I'm with you guys. You know, you got to defend your business. Absolutely, especially in times like these. And we shouldn't be jumping the gun yet. CISA issues a new ICS advisory for new vulnerabilities in Treck, TCP, and IP. So security updates are available for the Treck TCP IP stack that addresses two critical vulnerabilities leading to remote code execution or denial of service. This according to a report issued by CISA. Last week, a series of 4 new vulnerabilities that Intel security researchers discovered in the Treck TCP IP stack were made public. 2 of these were rated critical severity. The most severe of the 2 is CVE 2022-5066 with a CVSS score of 9.8. A heap-based buffer overflow bug in the Treck HTTP server components that could be abused by attackers to cause denial of service or execute code remotely. Next in line is CVE 2022-7337 with a CVSS score of 9.1 and out of bounds right in the IPv6 component that could be exploited by an unauthenticated user to cause a DOS condition via network access. Patches are available for both. Let's get those done. Again, ICS, folks, very basic for us to do. Also, Forescout announced the release of an open source script that can help identify the use of the TCP IP stacks vulnerable to the recently disclosed Amnesia 33 set of vulnerabilities. You can get that link on our website again at cyberhubpodcast.com. Finally, let's talk about threat actors using VBA purging in attacks. So this was detailed earlier this year and you may have forgotten about it. This was February. I don't know if you guys remember February. We still got together. Some of us were in San Francisco. Yeah, we're sanitizing a little bit more, but we still hugged and hung out and ate dinner. Wow, what a time. Malicious Office documents have VBA code stored within streams of component file binary format with Microsoft specifications on VBA macro, storing VBA data in a hierarchy containing different types of streams. Now this vulnerability is being used more and more, this attack vector is being used more and more by attackers with VBA Purging. The performance cache data is removed instead. The module offset value switched to 0, and the SRP streams are removed to ensure no runtime error is hit when the application does not find the compiled code in the module system. Because many antivirus engines rely on specific strings used to store in performance cache, detection is hindered, and attackers can employ more standard techniques. FireEye submitted to VirusTotal a normal Office document carrying malicious VBA code and a counterpart to which VBA purging has been applied, and noticed that detection rates dropped to 67%, which clearly shows the efficiency of the technique. Something to keep in mind according to FireEye. Now here's the deal, folks. We're wrapping up the year. Practitioner brief in January is going to be very different. I won't be reading off a piece of paper. You'll see everything I see on my screen. So I urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. I'll be doing these at 9 a.m. Eastern Time live. This will be a live stream that I'll be doing on LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook simultaneously. And then I'll be posting the audio version immediately once the stream is done on all your podcast listening platforms. The concept here is really simple, folks. I want to be able to give you something to look at, to see where I get my data from, what I'm basing it on, as well as kind of have a little discussion. I'm inspired by the fact that we can read this together and kind of analyze it as we go through. We're still going to aim for the 10 to 12 minute podcast type to really give you some detail. I'll be occasionally bringing on people when we have stuff like Solarwinds and others to really talk about it in more detail on these. We'll be doing an additional segment during the day that I'll post slightly after the practitioner brief, talking about some of the stuff to really do that. We'll be doing AMAs. I'll be able to take your questions in the live stream. We can have a discussion around anything I say or you have concerns about, and we can address them as a community. The more we come together as a community, the better off we will be in dealing with our adversaries and opponents, and the stronger we will be as one, no matter where you are in the world. The cybersecurity community that has no borders. It has a passion to securing our data, our privacy, our national infrastructure, and our national defense from threat actors that want to take that from us. So please make sure to join. Again, some really exciting changes coming in 2021. I'm really super psyched about it. I hope you guys will be a part of it as well. Thank you for all your support. We'll have one more practitioner brief tomorrow. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I'll be streaming live on LinkedIn. So if you're alone, if you want to pass an hour, join us. 11 a.m. on Thursday, I'll be with Naomi and Renee. We'll be doing a Christmas Eve special AMA on LinkedIn. And then on Christmas Day, I'll be with Charity Wright from Recorded Future. We're going to be talking about attribution and narratives in the event of cyber breaches, which is something we both deeply care about, and we'll be doing that, so you can join that live stream as well. I think that's going to be around 1 p.m. Eastern Time, if I'm not mistaken, but you can go to our LinkedIn page at CyberHub Podcast/CISA Talk and see that there. Until then, folks, thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with more, but in case you go on vacation tomorrow and you don't listen in, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all of you folks. We'll be back with more tomorrow. Until then, stay cyber safe.
We love, so make sure to social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.